My boyfriend was away for half a year when I found out I was a month pregnant. His mother seized the chance to make Brandon and me break off the engagement. I looked at the man sitting in the main seat. He held my fingers, leaning lazily back in his chair, and smiled faintly. His voice was gentle, mine. Brandon and I had an engagement, but everyone knew he didn't think much of me. Today was his birthday, and the mansion poolside was a chaotic party. The laser lights made people's eyes hurt, and bikini-clad beauties were draped over him on either side. I placed the red wine I'd just retrieved from the wine cellar on the table in front of him. "Brandon, let's talk." He looked up, a smile playing on his lips. "Say whatever you need to say right here." Seeing the crowd around him, I felt awkward. Brandon scoffed, tightened his arm around the waist of the beauty beside him, kissed her face, and said flippantly, "Sarah Miller, trying to boss me around? I'm like this now, and I'll be like this after we're married. If you want to join the Sterling family, you'll just have to deal with it." Brandon's friends also burst into laughter. "Sister-in-law, you need to learn to turn a blind eye. If Brandon gets angry and doesn't want you, you'll have nowhere to cry." Ah, they misunderstood. I hurried forward 2 steps and blurted out, "Brandon, I wanted to discuss breaking off the engagement with you." Those words hit like a lightning strike, leaving everyone stunned. The DJ cautiously turned the music down a bit. All sorts of eyes were on me. At that moment, it wasn't so hard to say anymore. I said seriously, "Brandon, you don't like me anyway. Breaking off the engagement is better for everyone." He cut me off, frowning and pushing the 2 beauties beside him forward. "Satisfied? If you're satisfied, stop being an eyesore here." I was a little angry. "Brandon, are you really clueless or just pretending? Can't we just part ways amicably?" He suddenly stood up, his tone awking. "Sarah Miller, go find happiness after breaking off the engagement? Do you deserve it?" My nose stung. He stared at me intently for a couple of seconds, then unclasped his wristwatch, swung his arm, and threw it into the pool, smiling maliciously. "Fish it out, and I'll consider it." I stood in silence. Brandon knew I was afraid of water. In fact, if it hadn't been for that accident at the beach when I was 18, maybe we wouldn't be where we are now. I knew he was just trying to tease me. "Brandon, is this fun for you?" I said calmly, standing my ground. He was expressionless, trying to force me to comply. Everyone else watched like it was a show. I turned and wanted to leave. But someone gave me a nasty shove, and I fell straight into the pool behind me. It was dark, the water was deep, and I felt like I was suffocating. My heart pounded wildly, and my limbs instinctively thrashed. As soon as I surfaced, I heard laughter and jeering around me. I looked down and realized the thin material of my shirt was soaked, clinging tightly to my body. Brandon watched me from above, not making any move to stop them. Feeling humiliated, my hand suddenly touched something. My gaze flickered to the person who had pushed me, and I threw the object directly at him. He screamed, blood welled from his temple, and he glared at me fiercely. "You F************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Brandon, I found the watch. When are we breaking off the engagement?" Brandon lit a cigarette, his eyes full of mockery. "Sarah Miller, is that the watch? Trying to fool me with just anything?" I sneered, "It is if I say it is." 0 in the stalemate, the lights suddenly went out. Then, a deep voice came from not far away. "What's all this commotion?" I followed the crowd with my gaze. A man in a suit and trousers, a suitcase beside him, looked like he had just returned from a business trip. Brandon quickly threw away the cigarette in his hand and respectfully called out, "Uncle David." "Why are you here?" "It's close to the airport." It was too late tonight, so I stopped by to rest. Was this David Sterling? My mind went blank for a moment. Why was he suddenly back? Thankfully, he had attracted everyone's attention, allowing me to stay afloat slightly, the suffocating feeling less intense. "What's so interesting in the pool? Everyone's standing still." He walked over slowly. Brandon waved his arms. "What are you waiting for? Did your watches fall in too?" Everyone quickly responded and retreated. The mansion suddenly became quiet, as if only the three of us remained. A gust of wind blew, and I shivered from the cold. David Sterling took off his jacket, crouched down, and held it out to me. "Come up. Don't get cold." I was still thinking about breaking off the engagement and instinctively looked at Brandon. But his attention was entirely on the phone call that had just come in. I heard someone on the other end shout, "Brandon, something happened with Mandy. Uncle David, please keep an eye on Sarah for me. I have something to deal with." Brandon seemed really urgent and left without looking back. I suddenly felt disheartened. It had been a wasted effort today. Emotions inexplicably surged, and I lowered my head, shedding 2 tears. "He's already gone." David Sterling extended his hand. "Don't cry. Come up first. Shall I take you to find him?" "No need. I can get up myself." I grabbed the handrail of the steps and started to climb. But I don't know what I stepped on, my foot slipped, and my body suddenly fell backward. I instinctively grabbed David Sterling's hand, which made things even worse. With a splash, we both fell into the pool. A scream escaped my throat, and my hands and feet tangled around David Sterling. I could feel his body stiffen for a moment, then he patted my back. "Don't be scared." At that moment, an inappropriate thought suddenly crossed my mind. He's so tall, taller than Brandon. He held me as he walked towards the steps. It wasn't until my feet touched the ground that I recovered. I quickly let go of him, my ears burning. "Uncle David, I'm sorry." He put the suit he had just taken off over me, his expression calm. "Go inside and take a shower. Don't catch a cold." I secretly watched him, relieved. Oh well, it was nothing, right? Zero. When the hot water poured over my head, I suddenly realized. My clothes were all wet. What was I going to wear later? After struggling for a long time, I wrapped myself in a bath towel and went out. I opened the closet in the room, only to find it empty. This mansion had been abandoned for a long time. But it was close to White Mountain, convenient for Brandon to go racing after his birthday party, which was why he insisted on choosing this place. I silently cursed him a couple of times. When would he stop causing me trouble? Knock, knock, knock. Someone was knocking. I was startled and cautiously opened the door a crack. David Sterling stood outside, his messy fringe making him look much gentler. He looked at me. "There's cold medicine on the table. Remember to drink it." I nodded, clutching the bath towel at my chest, and said with difficulty, "Do you know if there are any spare clothes in the mansion?" He raised an eyebrow, turning his head slightly away from me. "There probably aren't any clothes, and it's not easy to have someone send them now." My heart sank. Just as I was about to say something, a clap of thunder exploded in my ears. Startled, I immediately covered my ears with my hands. After the water on my body evaporated, the bath towel wasn't wrapped as tightly and started to slip down. Before I could react, the door closed. David Sterling closed it. Through the door, his voice sounded a little hoarse. "I have a new shirt in my suitcase. If you don't mind, I'll bring it over." "Never mind. I'm going to take a shower. You can get it yourself. It's in the living room. The new one is on the left." After the thunder, I wasn't so scared anymore. Thinking about the awkward situation just now, it really wasn't good to open the door for him again. After he left, I went to the living room. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the rain poured down. The rumors were indeed unreliable. David Sterling wasn't that cold and ruthless. Didn't he care about his employees? He hadn't insisted on making them come out in the rain in the middle of the night to deliver things. I found the shirt in the unfolded suitcase. I had changed for a while, and the water was already boiling when he came out of the room. Hearing the footsteps behind me, I suddenly felt nervous. I had thought the shirt was quite long before, but now I felt it wasn't long enough, only covering my upper thighs. I bit my lip, turned around pretending to be calm, and held the water out to him. "Uncle David, want some?" He took it, his expression seemed off. My heart sank. What's wrong?" He tilted his head back and took a big gulp of water, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Why are you wearing this one?" I didn't know why, but his voice sounded very dry, as if even drinking water didn't help. He sighed. I'm sorry, my mistake. Perhaps I should have been clearer. My cheeks instantly turned bright red as I understood what he meant. I had taken the wrong clothes. This wasn't the new one, it was the one he had worn. He stood in front of me, his shirt clinging to my body. It felt so strange, like I was being seen through completely. The heat on my face didn't lessen, and I stammered, unable to reply. He was silent for a moment, then asked softly, "Want to change?" I quickly shook my head. Changing would only make it more obvious. I could only awkwardly change the subject. Did you drink the cold medicine? He lit a cigarette. Only found one packet. Go back to your room and sleep. I'll take you back tomorrow after the rain stops. I desperately wanted to get away from him right now, so I quickly agreed and fled back to my room. I woke up quite late the next morning. I opened the door and saw David Sterling sitting at the dining table. Originally, I wanted to close the door and wait for him to leave before coming out. But he saw me. He was holding a tablet, seemingly dealing with something. He didn't even lift his head. You're up. Have some breakfast. I was so timid that by the time I reacted, I was already seated. I just buried my head in my food, not daring to look up at him. Sarah Miller. But then he called my name. My heart clenched. I don't know why I suddenly had a bad feeling. Do you know you walk in your sleep? He looked down at the wrinkled shirt on him, leaned back in his chair, and chuckled. You clawed me up so bad last night I'm a mess. Sleepwalking? And I touched him? My mind exploded. A blush crawled from my cheeks to behind my ears, then spread down to my neck, and I stammered, unable to say a complete sentence. No. I'm sorry. I fumbled for an explanation, but nothing coherent came out. He, meanwhile, lit a cigarette and watched me calmly. At this point, I suddenly got bolder, my mouth moving faster than my brain. Isn't it your fault for not locking the door when you sleep? Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get into your room. And who sleeps without taking off their clothes? I stared into his eyes, my voice getting smaller and smaller. Why would a grown man lock his door when he sleeps? He raised an eyebrow, his tone teasing. Take off clothes? Did you want to touch something else? I deflated. That's not what I meant. He didn't say anything, just watched me quietly through the smoke. I was restless and tentatively said, "How about I buy you a new one?" He smiled. Just one? But his shirt would put me in debt if I bought two, and that one could still be worn. Uncle David, I only wore that shirt for a little while yesterday. I took it off as soon as I got back to the room. It's not wrinkled at all. How about you wear that one? After all, I'm really quite poor. Words just tumbled out in a rush. He paused for a moment, looking at me. Are you sure? I stood my ground, forcing myself to meet his gaze. Why yes, sure. I'll go get it for you now. I fled. When I reached the second floor, I asked, should I bring it to your room? I avoided his upward gaze and heard him say, okay, I'll come up in a bit. After bringing the clothes to his room, I couldn't help but look around a bit more. The layout and furnishings were different from mine, but I had no memory of it at all. Why would I sleepwalk here? What did I do to get his shirt so wrinkled? I felt guilty and didn't dare to stay at the crime scene any longer. I quickly went out and called him to change. He changed his clothes, came downstairs, and picked up his car keys. Let's go. I'll take you back to the university. I glanced at him. His shirt and suit were crisp and neat. Walking behind him, I thought I smelled the body wash I had used last night. After getting in the car, I lowered my head to fasten my seatbelt, feeling a little embarrassed to look at him. Tisk. His movement to start the car suddenly stopped. I instinctively looked over, and our eyes met. My heart gave a heavy thud and started racing. He frowned and unbuttoned the top two buttons of his shirt. There were two still bleeding red marks on his collarbone. My heart skipped a beat. Could these be from my claws? He pulled out two tissues and wiped them. Then he looked down at me, his tone a little helpless. What's your zodiac sign? Not understanding why he asked, I replied, I was born in the year of the horse. He said casually, not the year of the cat, huh? You were quite fierce pinning me down and scratching last night. I took a deep breath and said weakly, Uncle David, I'm sorry. Looking at the stinging red marks, I felt even more guilty. How about I put some ointment on for you? It's fine, I'll do it myself. The medicine is in the glove compartment. He said it lightly. I aired my head to look for it and quickly handed it to him. David Sterling was tall and large, and the car's interior space was cramped. It was very inconvenient for him to pull down his collar and lean down to apply the ointment at the same time. He missed several times. He frowned, looking like it hurt quite a bit. Seeing how he struggled, I leaned over directly. Let me help you. He looked at me deeply and finally said after a moment, okay. My fingertips were stained with the white cream as I slowly reached forward, touching his skin and gently rubbing. His body temperature was so high. Was that how all men were? I was a little distracted. Afraid of hurting him, I tried to be as gentle as possible. Before I could finish rubbing in the ointment, he suddenly grabbed my hand and moved away slightly. His breathing seemed heavier. All right, that's enough for now. I was startled and obediently sat back. He sat still for a moment, rubbed his temples, then adjusted his posture before starting the car. Midway through the drive, he suddenly said, Don't go around putting ointment on people randomly next time. Wasn't I trying to help him? Why was I being lectured? When the car was nearing the university, I suddenly remembered I didn't have his contact information. Uncle David, how should I pay you? He countered, Is that how you see me? Did that mean I didn't have to pay? Afraid he would change his mind, I quickly said, Thank you, Uncle David. But after causing him so much trouble last night, I still felt a little uneasy. When I was applying the ointment earlier, I had seen the faint dark circles under his eyes when I leaned closer. He looked like he hadn't slept all night. How about I treat you to a meal today? I clutched my wallet and added, Our university dining hall is famous for its good food. He glanced at his wristwatch and pondered for a moment. I just got back today. I don't have time. Next time. Next time? Could I even take him to the dining all next time? Seeing that I didn't say anything, he turned to look at me. Are you upset? I waved my hands repeatedly. No, I was just thinking about where to invite you next time. Heh, little girl. He chuckled. Okay, when you've decided where, text me the location. He held the steering wheel with one hand and tossed his phone over. Password is 190723. Add me yourself. This was the phone of a business tycoon. The things in it were worth far more than I was. He just gave it to me like that? I didn't dare to look closely. After adding him, I quickly locked the screen and gave it back. Lowering my head, I looked at my own phone screen and dutifully saved his contact as Brandon Sterling's uncle. When the car was close to the university entrance, I asked him to stop. Just as I was about to close the car door, I heard him say, Do you need me to pick you up next time? I was stunned by the wind. Why was he treating me like a helpless child? No, Uncle David. Drive carefully, stay safe. Okay, I'll text you when I arrive. That wasn't necessary. He probably just said it casually, right? I didn't have class today, so I walked straight to the dormitory after getting out of the car. But at the entrance, Brandon blocked my way. He was holding a bouquet of roses, standing in front of me. After our confrontation last night, I wasn't so cautious around him anymore. All I wanted now was to break off the engagement with him. I frowned, suppressing the urge to yawn. What do you want? Brandon tried to shove the flowers into my arms. Last night was my fault. I came to apologize. I quickly stepped back 2 steps, fanning away the pollen drifting in front of my nose. Brandon's expression changed. Do I disgust you that much now? I stood still quietly and said softly, Brandon, don't you even remember that I'm allergic to pollen? He cursed under his breath and quickly threw the flowers into the trash can. Sarah Miller, I'm sorry. He couldn't find an explainer. Tie-in. I said for him, it's okay, you just forgot. We're like this now, what's the point of still being entangled? Perhaps my indifferent attitude hurt him. His face instantly fell. Sarah Miller, who are you looking down on? If you hadn't insisted on breaking off the engagement last night, would I have let you jump into the pool? I gave you an out, don't push your luck. His words were harsh. If it had been before, I would have been afraid of making him angry and would have humbly begged for his forgiveness. But now, I turned and slapped him. Brandon, I'm definitely breaking off this engagement. Brandon tilted his head and rubbed his jaw, sneering. Sarah Miller, you're dreaming. You're tied to me for life. This is what you owe me. He turned and walked away. I no longer watched his retreating back and turned to walk in the opposite direction. When I entered the dormitory, I could barely push the door open. After finally squeezing in, I found the floor piled with various shopping bags. Inside, a female voice was speaking with exaggerated intonation, telling a story to someone else. Seeing me come in, my stepsister, Amanda Miller, feigned surprise. Sister, why are you just getting back? Didn't Brandon invite you to his birthday party yesterday? She paused, frowning in thought, and even blinked at me. Look at me, I forgot Brandon was called back halfway through the party because of me. Sorry, sister. My heart hurt last night, and I was really scared, so I called Brandon. Who knew he'd be so anxious and rush back as soon as he got the call? I heard his friends say you were still soaking in the water then, sister. Brandon really is something. What if sister catches a cold? I took my clothes and went to take a shower, pretending not to hear. When I came out after showering, she suddenly shrieked, startling me. Oh my, sister, what are you wearing? Is the refugee look in style now? She covered her mouth, stifling a giggle, and looked around. Brandon bought too much, I can't wear it all. Sister, pick one out. If you wear that outfit out, people will think our Miller family is so poor. I couldn't take it anymore. Do you think Brandon bought these clothes for you? No, he bought them for me to see. Amanda Miller's face instantly turned pale. I twisted the knife further. Yes, you're right. Brandon is just using you to make me angry. He was even holding roses and begging for my forgiveness just now, but I didn't agree. She gritted her teeth. What nonsense are you talking about? Thinking of something, her sense of superiority returned. Dad wants you to attend his birthday dinner next month. I didn't even look up. I'm not going. Her eyes glinted with malice. I heard sister's mom's condition is getting worse. Her medical expenses are going to double. I clenched my fists, then released them, looking at her. Fine, I'll go. She looked even more pleased. I lowered my head and eyed the orange shopping bag on the floor, picking it up. I'll take this one. Her face changed again, and she almost pounced on me. What are you doing? I laughed. Didn't you just say I could pick anything? Now you're being stingy? She almost slammed the table, forcing a smile. Sister isn't like me, who grew up seeing these things. If you want to broaden your horizons, take it. That's true. You can't buy this bag with money, can you? I dangled the bag in front of her and quickly left. Any slower and I was afraid she'd shamelessly snatch it back. After leaving the university, I went straight to the consignment store and easily got $300,000. Amanda Miller went back home, angry, and my other roommates weren't there. I had a few peaceful days until I ran into Brandon at a lecture hall. After the bell rang, I didn't linger behind him and dote on him as usual. But this time, he was the one who came after me. He patted my shoulder. I turned around expressionlessly. Brandon immediately started complaining. Gee, Sarah Miller, you're such a troublemaker. I glared at him. What do you mean? He held out his hand. This is your lip balm, isn't it? You left it in my uncle's passenger seat. My uncle's date got into a fight with him on the way because of this and almost had a car accident. They haven't made up yet. This girl is very suitable for Uncle David. Although they were only set up a few days ago, they know each other well, and their families are already pushing them to get married. My first reaction was that he was framing me, but looking closely, it did seem to be my lip balm. My heart sank. His date was angry because of me? He had helped me so much, I couldn't screw him over like this. I took back the lip balm and turned to leave, ignoring Brandon. When I reached the university entrance, I started texting David Sterling. "Uncle David, what's your date's phone number?" He replied almost instantly, "What date?" I clutched my phone. "Did you guys fight that badly?" He wouldn't even admit it. "Uncle David, please give me her address. I'll go explain myself." Calling might be misinterpreted as provocation by that girl. This kind of thing required sincerity. "Do you have to come?" he asked. I was speechless. Could he possibly smooth things over with this attitude? Don't say things out of anger. You need to comfort a girl. I watched the typing indicator flicker in the message box. Finally, a string of addresses came through. He said, "If you want to come, just come. No one's here right now. The password is the same as my phone password. You can go right in." I took a taxi to that gated community. The house was indeed empty. I didn't enter the password directly. That would be rude. I waited until dusk. The clouds in the sky grew rapidly, as if it was going to rain. I quickly called a taxi, but the app showed no available drivers nearby. This community was secluded and quiet, which meant it was really out of the way. The rain came quickly, pouring down in torrents. In an instant. I looked around for a place to shelter. I heard a few car horns from not far away, and my eyes were momentarily blinded by headlights. The Maybach pulled up steadily in front of me. I heard the car door open and touch the rain on my face. Before I could fully see the figure in front of me, his suit jacket was thrown over my head. A steady, woody scent enveloped me. I instinctively held my breath. It seemed to be David Sterling. He put his arm around my shoulder and hurried me into the mansion. "Why didn't you go inside?" In the wind and rain, his voice seemed unusually cold. "I was afraid of making your day even angrier." I struggled out of his jacket and ran into the house. I looked inside from the entrance. "Where's your date?" "I don't have a date." He rubbed his temples, looking a little helpless. "The one you were set up with. Weren't you two already talking about getting married?" He stood at the entrance, unbuttoning his cuffs. "Is this how you usually spread rumors about me? Why don't you weave in some truth, otherwise it sounds too fake." The mansion looked empty, as if no one else lived here. So, this date he was set up with really didn't exist? Then why did you ask me to come? I was a little puzzled. "Wanted to see how you spread rumors about me." He circled back. "And then clarify the facts." Knowing I was in the wrong, my eyes darted around. "Brandon told me all this. I was afraid of ruining your lifelong happiness, so I specifically came to explain." Who knew it was a misunderstanding? He leaned against the wall and lit a cigarette. His tie seemed too tight, and he tugged at it a couple of times. Being set up was real, but I refused. It was all my family's wishful thinking. I lent my car to someone a while ago. They didn't see me. "Oh, I see." I stood there feeling awkward. "Make some tea," he said. "Me?" As I got closer, I smelled the faint scent of alcohol on him. It seemed like he had just come back from entertaining sea lions. He looked at me amusedly, thinking I was unwilling. Young girls really don't like to be put out. "How about you just consider it me buying you dinner?" I couldn't refuse now and went to the kitchen to make something to help him sober up. He called out to me again. "Go take a shower first. Don't get sick. Second room on the right on the second floor. There are clothes for you." On the right. I remembered the embarrassing incident from last time and stopped in my tracks. He paused, then remembered too, and smiled faintly. "Almost forgot, you easily get confused. Come up with me, I'll show you." He pushed open the door and pointed to the closet. "You can wear any of the clothes in there." I opened the closet and looked. It was less a closet and more a small walk-in wardrobe, but there were only a few nightgowns hanging inside. Were these left by his previous girlfriends? I looked through them all and stood there, unable to pick one. After showering, I wrapped myself in a bathrobe and went downstairs to make something to help him sober up. The was boiling. David Sterling still hadn't come out. I had heard news about people drowning in the bathtub after getting drunk. My heart tightened. He should have a bathtub in his bedroom. It was better to be safe than sorry. I carried Thee and knocked on his door. There was no answer. I grew more anxious, knocking while pressing my ear against the door to listen for movement inside. But it was completely silent inside. After hesitating for a while, I decided to go in anyway. If something really happened, hesitating any longer would be too late. I turned the doorknob downwards and pushed inward. At the same moment, he pulled the door from the inside. Soup. I tilted my body and stumbled forward, letting out a short scream. The entire bowl of spilled onto my feet. That wasn't the most important thing. I lowered my eyes and looked at the abs right in front of me. And above that was another red mark I had scratched. D in my panic. Ah. I wished I could disappear into the ground. Uncle David, I'm so sorry. I kept my head down, trying to hide behind the door. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, I was almost out of the room. But my body was lifted into the air. David Sterling looked down at me, bouncing me up and down a couple of times in his arms. Stay still. My bathrobe. I quickly clutched the belt at my waist. He placed me on the sink. He rummaged through the cabinet next to it and pulled out a tube of burn cream. Uncle David, it's not that bad. I instinctively pulled my feet back. He hadn't been very hot when I brought it up. I wasn't stupid. He half knelt in front of me, holding my ankle. The cold cream was applied to the top of my foot, and my toes twitched uncontrollably. He looked at the redness and asked softly, "Does it hurt?" No, Uncle David, I'm really fine. A thin layer of sweat appeared on my forehead, and I reached up to wipe it away. Are you hot? He frowned. You didn't like those nightgowns? Why are you wrapped in a bathrobe? Your girlfriends are quite bold. Their nightgowns aren't really my style. There are no other women, he said in a low voice. The clothes are new. New? Could they have been for me? Why did you prepare nightgowns beforehand? He didn't answer the question, but slowly stood up and asked, Are you made of water? I looked at him with a mixture of surprise and horror. Then he added the second part of the sentence. Every time I see you, you're drenched. What else could I do but prepare? Or do you want to wear my shirt again? I didn't dare look at him. Taking advantage of him letting me go, I quickly ran out of the room. As I reached the door, I looked back and said, There's more tea in the kitchen. When he finished the tea and saw me in the living room. Why aren't you in bed yet? The rain is too heavy right now, it's not safe to drive. I'll take you back after it stops. I shook my head and, on impulse, asked, Was wine good? The moon in the sky was round. Today should have been a day for family reunions. But none of that seemed to concern me. You want to drink here with me? Aren't you afraid of something happening? I hesitated for a moment. Uncle, you're a good person. If you say so. His tone was flat, not sounding pleased. He brought me several bottles, red, white, foreign, everything. My tolerance was low, and after a few glasses, I couldn't handle it anymore. I became a little crazy, dancing and talking around David Sterling, pretending to be a kangaroo and calling him a koala. He wasn't impatient. Instead, he reminded me, Slow down, don't fall. Don't fall. Someone else used to always tell me not to fall. But I hadn't seen her in such a long time. The stimulation of the alcohol, combined with his gentle comfort, made the emotions I had been holding back for so long completely break down. This was the first time I had cried out loud in 3 years. I squatted there, losing all strength. He stood up, and I was completely enveloped in his shadow. He carried me to the sofa. He stroked my hair. Why are you crying? This wine isn't good. Shall I get you another bottle? I shook my head, still crying. I miss my mom so much, but they won't tell me where she is. I can't find her. On my birthday, I dreamed of Mom. She gently wiped away my tears and said, "What troubles have MY endured?" I wanted to hug her, but she was so light, and she slowly drifted away. No matter how hard I chased, I couldn't catch her. She smiled and said, "You must always be happy." But how can I be happy? For the first decade or so of my life, even though Dad didn't like me, I had Mom and Brandon. I was Mom's little princess, spoiled and willful. Brandon and I had an arranged childhood engagement. He smiled whenever he saw me since we were little, always thinking of me when he had something good. I thought we would be good forever. But why did my Mom and Brandon's dad get involved with each other? They had exchanged letters for 10 years. When those tender, ambiguous words fluttered in their faces, they chose to end their lives. That night, Brandon and I stumbled around like headless chickens, crying and shouting. We finally found their shoes in front of the beach. There was no one else around, it was completely dark. Only I knew how to swim among the two of us. Brandon had been afraid of water since he was a child. In my desperation, I could only go in alone to save them. And I chose to save my mom first. After pulling Mom ashore, I rushed back to save Mr. Sterling. But because of hypothermia and severe exhaustion, I couldn't swim back. If rescue personnel hadn't arrived in time, I might have also sunk into that boundless sea. After waking up, everything had changed. Mom was moved somewhere else. And Brandon hated me. He hated me for not saving his dad, hated my mom for interfering in his family. He retaliated, tortured, and humiliated me. In an instant, I lost everything. I covered my face, curling myself into a ball. This was the position I liked best when I was sad. But today, someone gently smoothed me out, inch by inch. He gently wiped away my tears. "How can you stop being sad?" I choked, exhausted from crying. "I want to see Mom. I want to break off the engagement." I vaguely heard someone say, "Okay." For the first time, someone answered my wish. When I woke up the next morning, my eyes were swollen like walnuts. I vaguely remembered what had happened last night and felt somewhat at a loss. Knock, knock, knock. The door knocked. My heart skipped 2 beats. "Come in." It was David Sterling. He walked up to me and handed me an ice pack. "Want to put this on? Otherwise, you won't be presentable." I took it and lowered my head, avoiding his gaze. Even if I was slow, I could feel something was off. I recalled every moment I had spent with him. It seemed like he had been treating me specially from the very beginning, even somewhat indulging me. I kneaded the ice pack in my hands, then suddenly looked up and bravely asked, "Do you have feelings for me?" He smiled. Is that a question or a statement? Did his reaction mean I was wrong? I hardened my heart. A statement. He snatched the ice pack away. I instinctively closed my eyes, but I didn't feel the cold touch. Instead, I felt a warm breath near my ear. "Yes, you're right." My eyes widened. My whole body felt like it had been zapped by electricity, and I couldn't say a complete sentence. He reached out as if to touch my cheek but then restrained himself and put his hand down. He seemed a little frustrated and said gently, "Can I pursue you? Don't worry about the engagement. I'll handle it." That day, my brain froze, and I couldn't give him any answer. Back at the university, I was still trying to process it. How could he suddenly confess? Was that a confession? I had been avoiding him for the past couple of weeks, not replying to his text messages. Until he blocked me at the university. "Do you dislike me that much?" He stood in front of me. Huh? I blinked. "No." "Then let's go grab a bite." He opened the car door, and I gritted my teeth and got in. From that day on, we were inseparable. We almost ate 3 meals a day together, and he even wanted to bring me to his company. Maybe it was because I spent too much time with him, but I felt like I hadn't seen Brandon in a long time. I casually mentioned it to him. He smiled knowingly, pressing the point. What, miss him already? I was speechless. No way, I just thought it was strange. He turned the steering wheel. I sent him somewhere else for some experience a while ago. He won't be back anytime soon. What about grandfather? He's so set on keeping promises. Is he still insisting on me marrying Brandon? I suddenly remembered this. I'm talking to grandfather about it. He smiled at me slowly. Don't worry, I'm even more eager than you are. Me? I really didn't know what to say. That Saturday, I took a taxi to my father's birthday dinner. As I got into the taxi, I remembered I should text David Sterling to tell him I couldn't have lunch with him. He didn't reply. Maybe he was busy. When I arrived at the hotel, I went into the lounge first. He definitely asked me to come because he needed to talk about something. Once it was clear, there was no need to waste time here. When I opened the door, the three of them, my father, stepmother, and Amanda Miller, were sitting together, seemingly chatting happily. When they saw me come in, their expressions became fake and ridiculous. My father sat in a chair and said, I called you here today to discuss something. I nodded. Go ahead. Give your engagement with Brandon to Mandy. It was a command. Amanda Miller, afraid I wouldn't agree, threatened me. Sister, be smart about this. Auntie can't do without medicine. I snorted a laugh. Of course, that's fine. As long as you can convince Brandon and grandfather, after all, they're the ones who insist on me. Suddenly, I felt something was off. Given Amanda Miller's temper, she should have lost control of her expression by now with me talking like this. But today, she smiled with a fake sweetness. Then thank you, sister. My whole body tensed. I heard her clap her hands twice. Although I was on alert, I couldn't defend myself against the large bodyguards who rushed over. They pinned me against the wall and poured a glass of something into me. I struggled, using all my limbs. Let go of me! My head became dizzier and dizzier, and my body was burning up. These men grinned sinisterly and dragged me to the room next door. Amanda Miller giggled. Sister, enjoy yourself slowly. From now on, Brandon will be disgusted whenever he sees you. I glared at her fiercely. What should I do? What should I do? Right in front of me, they locked the door. I felt my breathing becoming more and more rapid, my face flushed. My consciousness seemed to be sinking into chaos. Through the hazy everything, something seemed to become clear. Bang, bang, bang. It sounded like someone was hitting the door. A well-tailored suit wrapped around me. David Sterling's voice trembled, filled with the relief of having found me again. I'm sorry, I'm late. He held me and hurried outside. Inside, there were screams. I rubbed against his chest. Don't kill anyone. He held me tightly. I'll take you to the hospital. I don't want to go to the hospital. His Adam's apple bobbed, his voice hoarse. Then what do you want? I want you. I looked at his face. Those words were like a match, igniting this old house of his. You don't love me, but you still want to sleep with me. I actually heard a hint of grievance in his voice. Later, amidst the rising and falling, I cried. He said, okay, stop crying. You can have me. When I woke up the next morning, I didn't want to open my eyes or move. My whole body felt strange. He kissed my forehead. It's already 11. Still sleeping? I didn't respond. A man who was sated was very easy to talk to. Okay, I'll take a call first. You can sleep a bit more. Not long after he left, I sat up and looked outside. The weather seemed nice. He returned shortly after, his expression serious. Sarah, I need to take you somewhere. I unconsciously let go, and the water cup hit the floor. My heart felt a dull ache. After getting in the car, I was still in a daze. The scenery outside the window flashed by. The further the car drove, the heavier my heart became. Finally, the car slowed down, and I saw the solitary grave standing amidst the endless fields. The car stopped. David Sterling hesitated before calling out to me. Sarah. I pushed open the door and stumbled out. How could I not have felt it? I just didn't want to admit it. Holding on to a glimmer of hope that Mom was still alive, I had accepted their threats. But, I knelt in front of the grave with a thud. So much I wanted to say, but nothing came out. I broke down crying. I knelt for a day, and David Sterling stayed with me for a day. Finally, I was so exhausted I almost fainted. He carried me back to the car and fed me a piece of chocolate. He held me, asking what I wanted to eat, if I wanted to go home or stay a bit longer. I didn't have the strength to answer anything. He started the car again, driving even further this time. All night, he drove me 300 kilometers to a neighboring city. When I woke up, I saw him and the rising sun. Sit for a bit longer. We're almost there, he said softly. I leaned against the window. Gradually, a huge estate/mansion came into view. The gate slowly opened, and we drove in. In front of us was a huge sculpture, a pure and beautiful angel holding the moon. It looked like a scene from my dream. And behind it was a magnificent castle. I pushed open the car door and stood on the ground, my steps unsteady. The wind blew. A piece of fluff brushed against my cheek. I reached out and caught it. It was a dandelion. Where is this? I hadn't spoken all night, and my voice was hoarse. He took my hand and slowly walked forward. I met a little girl a long time ago. The first time I saw her, she was 2 years old. She was very lively and reached out for me to hold her, and ended up giving me a along the river during the Qingming festival painting. Note, this is a famous Chinese painting. The translation needs to capture the cultural significance without being awkward. A simple description of the action or the impact of the gift might be better than naming the specific painting unless it's universally recognizable. Given the table entry 4 is gift/present, referring to childhood kindness, not specific item, it suggests focusing on the kindness or action rather than the specific item name, especially for culturally specific items like this painting. Let's rephrase. She was very lively and reached out for me to hold her. The furs. Tea time, she gave me, well, let's just say a memorable gift. Or perhaps, she was very lively and reached out for me to hold her. The first time, she reached out to me, giving me a sort of gift of affection. Let's reread the line, resulted in a painting. Maybe she drew on him? Let's assume it was a messy interaction resulting in a painting. She was very lively, reached out for me to hold her, and the first time, she ended up gifting me with a chaotic painting. Let's stick to the literal action and outcome described. The first time we met, she was 2 years old. She was very lively, reached out for me to hold her, and ended up giving me a messy painting. This is a more plausible interpretation than her gifting a historical scroll. The next sentence reinforces a mischievous child. The second time we met, she was wearing a pink dress, with pigtails, looking quiet and well-behaved, but she used a water gun to spray my calligraphy assignment that I had worked on all day. Before she left, she even made a face at me. This confirms the playful, slightly mischievous child. Later I heard grandfather set up an arranged childhood engagement between Brandon and her as a form of repayment, using the table's values. For many years after that, from youth to young adulthood, I saw her and my nephew together constantly, always smiling, but she seemed to never notice me. I thought she would always be this happy, until the major scandal involving both families broke. The color drained from her face, and she was shrouded in sorrow. I didn't think she should be like that. She deserved to be happy. That night, she was hiding in the garden, crying secretly. It was pouring rain, and she was soaking wet. I cautiously approached her. Seeing her cheeks flushed with fever, my heart ached. I asked her how she could be happy. She slowly smiled, her voice tinged with intoxication. She said reality was too cruel. Books said there was no suffering in utopia. Very thing was beautiful, and she really wanted to see it. I promised her. An imaginary world was too far away. I could only try my best to build it in reality. But I didn't know what her utopia was like. So, I thought and thought, reflecting on the few interactions I had with her. I remember she liked dolls, liked wearing pink dresses, liked galloping freely at the equestrian center, liked shiny stones, but what she wanted most was a wishing fountain. The sound of water tinkling fell into my ears, and he stopped walking. In front of me were rows of blooming jewel flowers. Their multicolored light was dazzling. And in the pond on the other side, a turtle crawled out, saw us, and plopped back in. This is my final result. I wonder if she's satisfied? David Sterling's eyes seemed to hold stars. I don't know when I started crying. It felt like what I had lost before, someone was giving back to me now. We bought a plot of land and moved Mom there. Then we arranged the funeral. I went through all the necessary procedures, wanting to give Mom a proper farewell. The sky was clear when I walked out of the funeral home. The sun felt warm. Everything had settled. David Sterling acted swiftly. The Miller family company failed. My father and Amanda Miller faced criminal charges for intentional assault. It seemed there was only one thing left. I glanced at the message David Sterling had sent, telling the driver to go to the family estate. As soon as I entered, it felt like a tense family meeting, the atmosphere oppressively serious. Brandon's mother saw me, and a twisted smile appeared on her face. She turned to grandfather and said, "Dad, you don't know yet, but Sarah is pregnant. Guess how far along she is? 3 weeks. Brandon has been away for half a year, and she's 3 weeks pregnant. Does she really think she's fit to enter our family's door? If you ask me, she should just stay out of sight if she's carrying an illegitimate child, to avoid causing EMB. Harassment." I looked up, slowly turning my gaze to the man sitting in the main seat. He squeezed my fingers, leaning back lazily in his chair with a faint smile. His voice was gentle, mine. Silence fell over the room. He repeated, "The child is mine." Grandfather beside him sighed, tapping his cane heavily on the floor a few times. That's what I wanted to say today. Before, I disregarded the wishes of the younger generation and forced Brandon and Sarah together into a resentful couple. I've come to realize that they should break off the engagement and go their separate ways in marriage. David Sterling and Sarah are in love and will marry soon. Grandfather, leaning on his cane, walked over to Mrs. Sterling, his body even more stooped. "Mrs. Sterling, I'm sorry for what I've done to you these past few years." The tears she had held back for years finally burst forth. David Sterling led me to his room. He pressed me down onto a chair, his voice trembling. "The child. I'm sorry. I hadn't been feeling well for a few days and went to the hospital for a checkup this morning. Who knew it was because of this?" He knelt on both knees, taking my hands. "I'm sorry. It was my oversight. You're still young. If you don't want it, we can wait, or if you want to remain child-free, I'll support you." I placed my hands on my abdomen. "Actually, I don't have many relatives. This baby will be one." I asked, "So, from now on, it's just the 3 of us?" His voice was a little hoarse. "Yes." I smiled, looking at the man before me. My husband, my dream maker.